The particular fame of Roskilde Cathedral is due no doubt to the fact that it has been the favorite sepulchral church for the royal house since the 15th century. The cathedral is characterized by 4 large chapels where, together with the choir and the burial place from 1985, 20 kings and 17 queens lie buried. Isabel in front of the west facade of the cathedral with its iconic spires covered in copper dated 1635. The new fantastic door, also known as the King's Door, depicting the 12 apostles. The burial site outside Roskilde Cathedral, where the remains of King Frederick IX and his wife Queen Ingrid are interred. King Frederick IX died in 1972 and Queen Ingrid survived her husband for 28 years. Previous rulers had been interred in the cathedral, but it was King Frederick's wish to be buried outside. The Glucksborgen Chapel. Christian IV chapel, built in 1614 with a characteristic Dutch Renaissance gable end, i.e. red brick surfaces with dressings and sculptures in sandstone. Oluf Mortensen's porch of about 1450. Oluf Mortensen's porch and the famous spires. The tall north transept gable. The Absalon Arch. Statues in front of the Roskilde Palace. The nave was built in the course of the 1200s after completion of the choir around the beginning of that century. Around 3 million bricks manufactured locally were used. The royal pew high up on the north wall opposite the organ. Details from the royal pew. The organ loft on the south side dates from about 1425. The lower paneling is by Herman Refelis, Dutch organ builder, and dates from 1554, whilst the upper Baroque facade is from 1654. The altarpiece is a gilded wood carving in oak of about 1560. It depicts the life, death and resurrection of Jesus. The wings are folded over, with only the carvings on the backs of these being visible. The central portion shows the Passion and Crucifixion, which in the past was normally only visible on major festive occasions. The pulpit is from 1609. Bronze font from 1602. Seafood detail. Clockwork toys from about 1500. Kirsten Kimmer's Perdover and St. George and the Dragon. Every hour on the hour, St. George kills the dragon. Behind the altar lies the tomb of Queen Margaret I, beautifully worked in alabaster. The chapel of Christian IV was built in 1614 through 41. The statue of the king was made by Thorvaldsen in 1840. Christian IV died in 1648. His coffin is in the center of the room. The other coffins belong to his queen, Anne Catherine, his son Christian who died before him, his son Frederick III, and Queen Sophie Amalie. The ironwork entrances are by Caspar Fink and from 1620. They hold the monograms of Christian IV and Anne Catherine. This is one of the 2 large paintings on opposite sides of the chapel from the 1860s, by Wilhelm Martrand. They depict famous scenes from the life of Christian IV. The sarcophagus of King Christian VIII, 1786-1848. The king was the philosopher and reformer of the Danish constitution that was carried out by his son King Frederick VII in 1849. King Christian VIII was the last Danish monarch to be anointed and crowned as king in 1839 at Frederiksborg Castle, as the coronation ceremony was abolished after his succession to the throne. The Glucksberg Chapel, or the Chapel of Christian IX. It contains the graves of the first three Glucksberg kings, namely Christian IX, Frederick VIII, and Christian X. The Viking Ship Museum in Roskilde is the Danish National Museum for ships, seafaring and boat building in the prehistoric and medieval period. Around the years 1070, 5 Viking ships were deliberately sunk at Skuldelev in Roskilde Fjord in order to block the most important fairway and to protect Roskilde from enemy attack from the sea. These ships, later known as the Skuldelev ships, were excavated in 1962. They turn out to be 5 different types of ships, ranging from cargo ships to ships of war. The Viking Ship Museum overlooks Roskilde Fjord and was built in 1969 especially to exhibit the 5 newly discovered ships. The museum harbor holds the large collection of traditional Nordic wooden boats and the reconstructed Viking ships, which provide an image of how the original ships looked 1,000 years ago. Navigable reconstructions of the original ships are built at the Museum Island. The old City Hall of Roskilde was built in 1884 in Gothic style. The tower dates back to around year 1500. Roskilde has a pedestrian street running down the center of the city, with many shops, restaurants and cafes. Ove's favorite lunch: Danish hot dogs al fresco. The young and the old all enjoying the nice weather. It was June, and all the students who had just graduated from the gymnasium wore the special caps. This is a different bunch, but it looks like they were all having a good time.